Your name, Ebuka Modi. Is Modi your surname?
Modi is my surname, yeah.
That's a nice name. I used to think you formed the Modi part.
I formed the Modi, no. It's a Tush Igbo name. I actually like it.
So tush.
Yeah.
Yeah, all right. So, when did you start photography?
About 10 years ago now, I think. 10 years, 9 years, 10 years, basically, yeah.
When you started, was it for money or you just liked it?
It was passion, of course. Yeah, like I loved capturing moments and it was just about that basically for me, so. Yeah.
You're still in school then, right?
No, I hadn't even entered school. Yeah.
And you got your camera?
School. No, I hadn't gotten a camera.
So what were you using then?
When I entered school, outside school was a phone. When I entered school was a friend's iPod.
I think it was Landmark you went to.
Landmark
My
University,
sister went to that school too.
Yeah.
Yeah, so how was it like shooting in school?
It was fun because of friends. So having friends around, we would always every weekend was free. You can always have models, infinite amount of models, basically. So it was fun. It was a good avenue to practice skills. Yeah.
Yeah, so your style of photography is, I don't say strange, it's just different. Like when you do that stuff, like multiply someone into how many? What's that?
Okay, so the style of photography is based off on the way I learned photography and the things that interested me. So I wasn't just interested in the retouching, the cliche type of photography. I was more interested in the capturing mountains, the documenting something in a very cinematic manner. And the people I now learned from influenced a lot, which is Mango Street Lab. So yeah, I feel like
you learned from who, sorry?
Mango Street Lab.
That's, you're not in Nigeria, right?
No, not at all.
So how did you find them?
YouTube. So I learned everything, every single thing I got to know. So basically my style was influenced off them.
Yeah, you know that stuff that people do. It's like when you like something, you just copy it and then you find your own style.
Exactly.
That's what people do right now.
It helps you discover, yeah.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
Basically that.
Just them?
Just them, yeah. Just them.
That's nice. That's interesting. So yeah, I wanted to ask before who inspires you in the industry, but then you just said Mango Street. Not even in Nigeria. Do you have anyone? Nah.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so I think it was 2 years ago you shot a wedding. And I was like, this is different from what you shoot.
Was
Was
it the Atafo wedding?
Yeah.
Okay, so Atafo is my client and he understands my vision. So he's an amazing person who respects creatives especially. So it was easy doing it for him, especially when I came from the part of I'm not here to document the wedding. I'm just here to document the Atafo dresses. So it was easy to just.
That was so beautiful.
That
sound you used was, I was like, is he moving to weddings? Let's start booking him or something. That was nice.
But yeah, I shoot weddings though, but I don't post on my post because it's not something I want people to know me for. So I shoot a lot of things, documentary, so many things. But I think recently I'm going to start putting it out in a very nice, funny way on Reels, which I've started doing my documentary.
Because you do a lot of production, like cars, everything.
Yeah.
You're just so if someone asks you now, what's your style for photography? What kind of photography do you love? Because I think you did sports at some point.
Yeah. So I'll just say I'm a travel and fashion photographer, basically.
That's nice.
Yeah. But I've never worked. It's still in the works. My description of who I am now is still in the works because now I've just gone out of niches.
Of course, I wanted to ask that too. You know, when you started, you obviously were just for fun.
Portrait and fashion too as well. Yeah.
So over time, it changed.
It changed because of the Nigerian market. Nobody was going to buy a photo of a mountain.
Okay.
You get, and I wanted to also be a travel photographer. You can't travel in Nigeria, so I had to get money, which is by shooting people. So that's why it changed. But then I became good in that, and I also built a name for myself in that. So it's
okay. So what do you say about people that are just starting now? Because I have a brother that is in videography, and I remember telling him okay, just do everything right now. He was he just wants to do sports, and that was some years back, and then just recently was telling me he just wants to do something new. And
okay, so meaning he wasn't dedicated to the sport path.
He was, but now it's almost as though he just wants to do something new. Does that happen?
It happens. I feel like it's also a good thing because now he can explore. He can take your advice, which is just do everything. Document your day, a day in your life, and then in documenting his day in the life, he might maybe making coffee, he's focusing on the cup and he realizes, oh, nice, I want to shoot more food. Before you know it, yeah.
So you advise people should just try out everything and just go for what they want at first?
No, if they have a specific thing,
yeah,
they should go for it. For instance, I had a specific thing which was shooting nature. That was the reason why I love photography, like shooting landscapes, shooting travel stuff and everything.
Yeah.
And I've started living that life. Do you get?
Yeah.
So in the end, if you still have your goal pinned, no matter what you dabble into, you'll still return back to your goal. So.
Yeah, so I see you're teaching Skillshare and Adobe and all of that. How did that happen? Was it even part of the plan? I know we never planned for it, but how did that just happen?
So I did a creative residency with Adobe, and it went well. And shortly after the creative residency, I was also referred to Skillshare by Adobe for Skillshare's program, which is the Teach Lab residency program.
Yeah.
And I went through that and, well, found favor. That's the word I would use. I found favor and became a top teacher in Skillshare as well. So that's how it both like merged.
Do you enjoy teaching?
Yeah, I do. I enjoy sharing knowledge because the people I learned from, they teach a lot. Mango Street Lab.
Yeah.
So while I also learned their style of photography, I also learned their purpose or the way they do things, which is teaching people.
Yeah, so yeah, I remember, is it like last year or this year when you posted that you lost some of your gadgets? And I've someone has faced that, so she was a makeup artist. Tips came and took all her stuff. You know how makeup stuff is. And I'm like, that's so heartbreaking. So I'm just thinking to you, like, how was that, like, going around, because you just talked about, like, some clients owing you. I was like, oh, this is a lot for somebody. How was that for you?
I had to let go of what I was owed by a couple of them. And it was a tough period. It was challenging. That's the definition of it. There's no beating around the bush. It was challenging. But I think in the end, like, everything just worked out. Yeah.
Because I noticed there was a time when you were calm. I wasn't really saying much.
Yeah, I think that was the period as well, or maybe the period following that one. I also like faced a creative block because of it. I was just out of it. So yeah, I feel like that's what happened that period. It was challenging, but nothing.
It's talking about like creative block. Like, how did you get out of that now? I'm sure you still feel it like once in a while.
I do very much. So I was telling the people I just talked to, which is the class, that because they asked about creative blocks, and I told them that the funniest and most drastic thing I did recently to handle that was to leave the country. And just go and shoot nature and go back to the roots of why I fell in love with photography. And it worked out. I got a flow state that I don't think I want to be quenched anytime soon.
Oh, that's great.
But regardless of that or outside that, I rest or I play games.
Oh, that's nice.
Or I also force myself to carry the camera and shoot. But yeah.
I think that's just it.
Yeah, in all, I think I've reached the stage where, you know how footballers, you're always asking, maybe subconsciously, don't they have bad days where the ball like misses? They can see a ball no matter where they are and still like juggle.
Yeah.
So I feel like no matter where I'm at, even if I'm having a block, once I hold the camera, I should or must produce good things.
That's nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, so now we have a lot of content creators. We have people holding cameras, but like people can buy cameras now. So how does that affect you, like as a photographer? How does that make you stay unique, like with your own craft? Without feeling, I don't know if you guys feel intimidated, and I know
I feel intimidated.
Content creators too are like really crazy right now. So
a lot. Yeah, I feel intimidated. That's one. Anybody that says they don't feel intimidated is lying. But I feel intimidated, and it's a good and unique question because these days now, everybody comes up with a camera and then new trends are formed that the oldies, as I'll call myself, have to force myself to, like now, Reels. Reels is a new form of validation now.
Oh, it is.
And it's sad, where someone who picked up a camera can go viral for something mediocre or great, and the person now who has been working on it for years or has like this and that, but doesn't have any viral reel, starts feeling inadequate because people now attach value to numbers.
True.
So if you don't have a great following, you're not valuable, and that's totally different. So yeah, it's tough when, of course, they're newbies and everyone is like eager. But why it's good for me is because I teach. So at the end of the day, I end up teaching some of these people who are just entering. So I have the opportunity to sort of help shape their minds on what matters and what doesn't.
Yeah. Do you select like being that low-key photographer?
I used to, but now where the industry is only appreciating a great following and influence, in quotes, I'm now trying to get out of my low-keyness because it's not helping me. You can be low-key and be great, but no one will come to you to advertise something for them. No one will come to you to influence, and so it's like a forced get out of your comfort zone, and
Exactly. And I know like a lot of creatives will go through that phase of, what's the word? Looking for clients. You know, when you start, it's like you're good, you know you're good, but when you look back, you weren't that good then. But obviously, like now, you're good. In the next 5 years, you'll be better than this, definitely. But then when you started, when you know clients will come and be like, oh, this is how much I want to pay you. I'm sure you accepted a couple of.
Oh my goodness. For 3,000 naira.
Oh, my chest.
I told, what was it? I tweeted it on time. I was like, is there 100 photos?
Oh my! When was it? When did it get to the point where you're like, I need to charge more? And maybe did you hear someone say maybe how much they charged for something that just changed your mind?
Yeah. So it was a period I was still charging my useless fees back then, and then someone who was also in Landmark with me were ahead of me. That journey, he's not that journey anymore at the moment. He's Ibiduni. Yeah.
This is Damilola.
Damilola.
Okay, it's good. I don't know.
So which one? That's the thing.
There's Ibiduni Damilola.
So they're like two.
Are you serious?
Yeah. I always mistaken. Oh God. In case you see this, Dayo, I'm sorry. I always mistaken his handle. Like, anyways, he's a filmmaker. He's not a photographer at the moment, but he was a photographer, or he identified as one back then. And then he was filming a lot. And just shortly after he graduated and everything, I think they had a project in Kaduna. They came to Kaduna. I went to pick them up. It was just nice. And there was a time I asked him, I told him that someone wants to hire a filmmaker. What will he charge? And he told me. And I think that was the day that I came to realization that, it's about valuing yourself, like it's not about...
Yeah, I think that's the same thing for me, like go straight into, because I went straight to LinkedIn after like the whole back and forth makeup. And I remember charging someone $270 for writing just social media posts and all of that. And I was like, oh, this is so big. And I spoke to my friend and he was like, oh, he charges $15,000 just to write a book.
My goodness.
You know, that's
when you resets you, yeah, exactly.
Because I always wanted to know, just so I wasn't like charging, low. But then again, I feel like it's also okay to make those, I won't call it mistake. I was happy when I charged that amount, but it's now I know better.
It's
now
a growth curve.
Exactly.
Yeah, you don't regret it. It's just, it happened.
Yeah, I don't. But then it was like, Jesus, people pay for just writing a book. Nah, it just changed my mindset. And I think that's what happened to you too, When you just say like, people can pay this amount for...
Yeah, and through interactions on YouTube videos and different things, you just learn more. Learn more and more.
Yeah, so speaking about that, if we don't network with fellow creatives, you won't really know a lot.
You won't know.
So how do you go about that? Because then again, as much as you're networking, you have to be very careful. You don't really know anybody. So how do you approach people to just get to know them? Because is that you're telling them you want to intern with them just to get a feel of how the market is, or you're just watching from afar? I don't know. How did you do
So
that?
my definition of network now is there's no danger in my definition of network, unless you're really putting yourself in a vulnerable position. But like my own definition of network is more of, first of all, being good at your work. When you're good at work, people want to get to know you. People want to get to be, if the word is affiliated or just recognized with you, basically. And that's where networking starts. You get to maybe meet these people at events, you shake their hands, oh, you do well, you can wine each other, which is the Nigerian way and everything. And then that's about it. It's stuck there. So when you need something, you have a list of people you've met. If you want to outsource work, you can always call them and look, oh, are you available? And then they will do the same thing with you as well. So it's just it's not a like vulnerable, oh, I want to intern for you, or I want to do this for you. It's more of meeting people that are like-minded with you.
Did you ever think of interning with someone?
Absolutely.
Did you?
I did.
Really? Who?
My, well, not interning, it was the creative residency with Adobe, but that's about it.
Yeah,
Oh,
but
interning, you mean like going to work
when
at
you
a
started,
studio?
yeah, did you like have to
Oh
work with
my goodness,
somebody?
it's funny, I actually did. But I wasn't successful, and I feel like it was just God's way of
You
saying,
don't have
you're
to
greater
learn
than
that
this, maybe.
Okay.
Because I went around studios in Kaduna. I remember that whole period. I was literally driving studio to studio. It's funny now that I think of it, but I was driving studio to studio, and I was begging to just intern. I was begging to just intern. I think the reason I did that was also to have access to good gear, because I knew my gear was not great. And I knew studios had good gear, and I was always hearing how, okay, yeah, you can work for a studio and maybe occasionally just use their gear to shoot.
Yeah, yeah, and there's this stuff that happens as an intern. You know, when you know you're good and you just feel like, oh, if I work with this person, I know it's going to give me a very big break. And I feel like these big creatives know. So most times they are very selective with who they choose to work with, because they just feel like you want to skip the process and just, yeah.
Funny enough, I wasn't going for any big creative or any big break.
Yeah.
I was just going for the regular studios. It can be a corner studio in somewhere. There's one that, oh my goodness, I checked on them and I was just like, my goodness.
Can't believe you wanted to work with. Yeah, so I'm just thinking, like, now you're at this point where people are probably reaching out to you. I just want to intern on, I don't know if people do that. Like, how do you feel about that? Does that come to your brain, like, oh, people just want to skip the process?
No,
you're also willing, yeah.
not at all.
What do you think about that whole people thinking, oh, these people just want to use me for exposure, so I might as well use them to be my interns, but I won't pay them. You guys are learning.
I feel like that mindset is it's not common to me. I've never even heard of it, and it's surprising that people would do that.
There's a lot of exposure stuff. Now people just say, oh, you would learn under me, but I'm not paying you.
No, that's wrong. That's wrong. The only reason why, okay, no, you would learn under me, but I'm not paying you. There are two ways to view that. So for instance, I've had people hit me up like to train them and everything. Of course, if it's training, if normally the idea is they pay me to be trained, but I wouldn't maybe collect money or anything. So that's another way to view it. And then maybe another way to view it is you're actively looking for an assistant. Yeah. And then you're not going to pay them because they're learning under you. That's wrong.
Exactly.
Yeah, so I don't view it that way. I wasn't also looking for like, I've had people hit me up, sorry, for that, but I wasn't looking because like I'm too busy to follow up. I'm too busy to also like, I'm also creating Skillshare classes, so I feel like if you want to learn,
just go there.
Just go there. Go to my YouTube, patronize those things rather than learning straight from. Like if I see you actively learning there, I can actually take in an effort and be like, yeah, you're serious, and it's not just about the glam. And
you know that part you said is also the same thing I thought about Big H. So he does that. They were like, if he's picking his guys to work with him, you have to like join his class. And obviously, people don't want to waste their time. I don't want to be teaching someone that I have to be begging. Like, are you coming to class today?
Exactly. So someone that is dedicated, someone that you've taught, someone that actually understands your vision.
Exactly.
And it's like, okay, yeah, I can actually try and train you further or something like that. Yeah.
So how do you choose your models?
Friends. Most of them have turned to friends.
But do you have like a specific look? Because, you know, there was a time I was modeling, that's what I was calling it. But I just realized it was stressful for me, and I just feel like photographers know what they want. So you don't just pick any fine face. Some of them want some features, like facial features and all that. So do you have stuff like that?
I have only one thing or a few things I don't pick at all.
Okay.
But I don't have things that I select to pick.
Okay.
Because I can work with anyone. It's about the outfit, it's about the mood, it's about whatever they have. But I don't pick beauty-centered or beauty mindsets. Okay. Like maybe models who are only used to standing in front of somewhere doing makeup and snapping. I feel like I don't work like that, and it's not my style, so I don't pick that at all. Yeah, I can work with anyone really, as far as you have the right attitude, the right. I vet attitude. I vet like ginger. I wouldn't pick like a lazy model who's just like pompous and things. Nah, that doesn't work. I'll pick someone who actually knows what they're doing. Yeah. So
I remember when you shot me, it was like videography and all of that. So are you a videographer? Which one?
So now I'm both of them. But I think for the sake of like simplicity, I'll still identify as a photographer. But yeah, I'm a filmmaker now and also a photographer.
So yeah, I see you shot, I can't remember the car, but it was one of these big cars.
Oh, Bentley.
Yeah, and I'm like, are you looking to work with them or you worked with them? You know, is this something do you actually shoot to target people? I saw it as that. I was like, this
They
guy is so
responded
smart.
to the photo, so it was actually, but it wasn't work for them. It was on a road trip with UK shooters.
Okay.
It's a prestigious like community basically in the UK of photographers, and they did like it was like one of the highlights, like normally photo walks and everything you can have models, you can have, so the car was also like
One
a
of the-
model basically. Like the car was a highlight, and it was a competition that I won.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That's nice. I
So,
think that
yeah.
was smart. When I saw that, I was like, this is just the best way. It's almost as though, like the way I said, if you want to work with somebody, let them see that you're working, you're doing something already, not like you're coming to just bank on me to do everything for you because of my influence. So if you want to work with someone, I think that's a very smart way to do it. If you see what I can do and you like it, obviously, I feel like if you really need my services, you pay for it easily.
True, very true.
So like in next 2 years.
Next 2 years.
Yeah, let's not go 5-2. Not based on what you're doing right now. I know you're envisioning a lot of things, but let's just say in 2 years, this is how you want.
In 2 years, in 2 years, I want to. It's more of a mental location than a physical location or financial location or anything.
Do you want to have a studio, like just have a studio in one place?
So it's not a studio. I wouldn't call it a studio. I want to have a workplace, of course. A place where I can train people. A place where I can also have people that I'm delegating jobs to come in and work. So if we have a client that we just shot for, I want to have a centered place where we can all send files. Not that I'm calling over this thing or have you done this. No, I want to be able to walk into the place and see people as well. And a chill space, basically for creatives, just something we can all just like have fun, talk about experiences and just like relax. Yeah.
When you started, I'm sure now you still like handle like criticism. People just come and say, "Maybe I don't like this." Do you have any of that? Really? Wow.
Funny enough, now
I was that.
I can't actually remember when last I was criticized.
But then that was like how many years?
It's been a while. It's been a while, and the criticism wasn't even online. I never had like online hate per se. It was more of, I don't know, people that just existed, maybe around one. But it's been a while, and I feel like it comes. Of course, it's not as if I'm not saying I won't expect it, because I've seen great people still getting criticized on YouTube videos and all of that. But maybe for now, why I'm not getting it, or why even if I get it, I wouldn't really care. It's because I formed a style that is unique to me. And I've gotten recognized for that style. That's another thing that shuts certain people up. When you get recognized for that style, they don't have a say again to say how the style should be. Exactly. So
that's true. So like you love shooting like nature and all of that. Is there any place you dream of shooting? Like any?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So there are 3 places I dream of being in and shooting. New Orleans is one. And the reason is because I love jazz, and I want to be able to document a street festival or a street jazz match in the most beautiful cinematic way ever. New Zealand is another one, and New Zealand's own is, the funny thing is, it's just one video that always enters my mind whenever I think of New Zealand, but that's the power of storytelling. This guy told, I've forgotten his name, he told the story so well of, it was just a cinematic experience he had in New Zealand, and I watched it back then when I was still starting out photography. So imagine how it had so much of an impact on me that it's one of my dream places to be. Exactly. But yeah, New Zealand, and then it's funny how New Orleans, New Zealand. The next one should be new. Well, the next one is not new. The next one is most likely Iceland.
That's nice. Yeah, so your first picture, you still have it, the first whatever you ever shot, like maybe the person or tool or whatever.
First thing I shot was my house. It wasn't anything special. But the first conch thing I shot, I still have the folder.
How did that make you feel when you shot it?
It was nice because I was working with friends. And we were just having fun. Like we workshopped the outfits. They were not giving, but it was just whatever we could find. And that was the photo that was now published on Vogue.
Really?
Yes.
Wow.
And yeah, that's basically it. So I have a YouTube video. Funny enough, that's actually it's my second highest viewed YouTube video. Yeah. So I still have like everything regarding it. One day I'll do an exhibition and it will be one of the frames
Please
there.
do. So like charging like $15,000 for it. Yeah, so I wanted to ask you a question now. I just hope I haven't forgotten. It's still about your first picture. Yeah, you have a tone. There's this feel that you have with your pictures, just like when we see Bedge and we're like, this is Bedge or Big H. You have your own. How did you find that?
So funny enough, I had a page. I had 2 pages when I started out. Like I had a private page, and of course the idea was to always have a private page. But now I've deleted all the pages. Now I just have one project page that I'm yet to fill on. But I had a page that I'll just go and dump the ugliest filters I make on, and the photos there for like a month would just be like, that page was like a test page, so I could see it in real time. I didn't know it affected me. Just now that I'm actually thinking of it, I was actually doing that, and that was some intentionality in getting the perfect tone. And I think I got a unique style to my color grading early enough. I'm not sure how it was. I think it was influenced through my artistic background. I used to draw and paint.
That's nice. Do you still do that?
No, I can't. I don't think I can draw anymore.
When was the last time you picked up a brush?
No, I've scribbled with a biro before, but like it's not. I don't think I can do any solid drawing. But I think my background in that, like that artistic nature, helps my colors, so I know what complements and what doesn't, and eventually I could form like a palette of. So if you scroll down my page, you'll see how it actually formed. That's the good thing. Like once you scroll on my page, you see how the colors started forming, and as you're going, you see how they evolve. Like so.
I think that's one of the good things of like keeping your pictures. Once we just start getting good, you just delete all that bad one.
No.
Honestly, just leave it.
Yeah, I think it's funny. So sometimes when I scroll, I look at it and I'm like,
What
oh my
is this?
goodness, I can't even imagine if anybody is doing this now, scrolling through my page and they're just laughing and look at where this boy is. But
Yeah, finding a balance. I think that's one thing we adults can't believe we're calling ourselves adults now. Me and my best friend always talk about you, like, I can't believe we're this age.
We are adults.
So weird, like seeing my friends getting married, having kids. I'm like, how do you know what you're doing? I don't think there's really any balance. That's what I think. Because I was looking for it, thinking of, do I really want to go back into modeling? I want to be a makeup artist. I want to write. I want to just go into interviewing people. I have a lot of things in my head. But I realize if you're thinking about it, you won't do anything. Do you think like that too? Have you found a balance? Have you ever looked for a balance, like in just life, balancing life? You really you see people just moving out, having fun, and then you're just there shooting every day, thinking, So how do you?
So there have been the pressures, and I think in an entrepreneur's life, of course, the financial insecurity. You're not getting paid every month is what you exactly. And that one has made me look at people and envy what they have, but eventually, I would say it's all God, because when you learn to just put everything and find a system that works and just keep your head, do what you can, He will put things in place for you in places that you never even imagined. And it's something I'm just reinforcing now more, which is just living life, having a system that works, doing everything I do right, and the ladder or the path will actually form. Before you know it, I'll get something, maybe a security or that kind of thing. So
I think that's it.
A system basically that works. Just do you live life? That's the short form. Live life. Don't worry. Like as you're living life and doing well and doing things in a dedicated manner, a path will be formed.
That's true. I agree. I agree, because that finding of balance really made me, you just sit sometimes and you're just so depressed, like what?
You will be like it to actually get you depressed. I've been there.
God, when I left school, it was so good, but like you said, there's a way God creates people. You just go through a lot of setbacks. So when I was still in university, I remember talking to my best friend. I was like, by the time we're out of school, she'll be in like 150K. We'll be like paint Abuja red. We're always talking about it, and that was a big deal. So when I started my NYC, they were paying me 40K. And then luckily for me, I got...
Big girl,
I'm telling you, it was...
big girl.
To me, I was like,
what?
And around that time, when I was still doing that, I got a job, a remote job, where they were paying me like 150K.
Wow, big
so
bucks.
I was getting... But I'm telling you, but after some time, it wasn't like the way I felt, once I'm earning 150K, I'll be out. It's just like we dream so much of a lot of things, and when they come...
You forget that you're living in the dream. That's another thing.
Yeah, so it was like, I ended for a while, I was like, I'm really bored. It's a copper. But I didn't go out.
No.
I didn't do all the stuff I told myself I was going to do.
Yeah.
You know, and now it's like every day there are bigger dreams. $10,000 a month. That's what you want to earn now.
Yeah,
You know,
it takes over. Like that
just dreaming
ambitious. Meanwhile, you like there's something I always try to inform myself of, which is you're living in the dream. Try and make sure you like
make the best of it.
yeah, like be so sensitive that you know when you are living in a dream, so that you're not ungrateful for that.
True.
Because right now I have ambitions that will make me feel like I'm
You're not doing
lacking.
enough.
I'll feel sad. I'll feel like, and there'll be legit valid reasons. But like I'll just be sad. Meanwhile, I'm actually living in the dream. A few years ago, I wouldn't have dreamt that I would have the camera I'm having, or have like, do you get? And
Getting back on your feet after losing like those kind of gadgets.
just very often, just try and remind yourself of what the dream was, and you realize that you're living it. So
Yeah, I do that even till now. You know, so after I did that job for like, are you going somewhere? Are you going somewhere?
no.
Okay. So I think after 6 months or so, that company ghosted us. You know, it was like around that remote time where everybody was just going for remote jobs. And obviously we have UK people, Nigerians, they want to dupe their people. So they made us do a lot of work. I'm sure that work was probably worth like how many, you know, but they made us do it for that amount. But I was happy, that's just it. But they ghosted us and didn't pay us our last salary. And then I was done with that company I worked with. I told myself, if I don't get a job, I'll have to stay, and I don't want to stay there because it was one of those toxic places. So I think that job just came to push me out because I would have stayed back. I had a lot of reasons why I would want to settle somewhere, and God would just bring something good. And I'm like, and I just move, and then that one too is gone. I'm just like, why did you do that to me? Why didn't I just stay there? So I've had a lot of that whole comfort zone, and then something pushing me out of there again till now. But now I think I'm more aware, you know. I always wanted to have my company. And that was just the dream working for myself. But it wasn't coming as I wanted. After that first international job that I got, it's like God is just saying, this is what you can do. You still work on yourself. But I was just like, I can get this. I don't really need to do too much. I think I always have that. There's something that comes with maybe not having people tell you, you're not doing enough. It doesn't put you on your toes like, for me, that's for me though. So I think that was enough for me. I went back and went to learn some stuff. So working with my friend now as a creative director, I'm telling people what not to do when I don't even think I'm there.
I think it was me telling myself I was the one putting myself on my toes. Watching YouTube videos and you see people doing way better, you will definitely be on your toes trying to do better. Yeah.
So I had to jump out of there. Now I'm just so grateful. I'm doing my own stuff too because you really can't. I don't want to do something for a friend and think, oh, I put so much effort into it and I left my own dreams for you. I'm doing mine as I'm doing his own too. I think that's one thing we always mistake as friends. If you're working with your friend, you just feel like, oh, I think with all this I'm doing, he would be able to pay me back. But now I'm just doing like strictly business. And I respect him, I respect his work. Yeah, so I've grown. I feel like I've grown. That's just
it's growth. Growth. It's a huge amount of growth.
I'm more aware of those things now, but then if something just doesn't go well, I'm just like, so boring. I need something new to do.
It's a huge amount of growth, really.
Yeah, and I feel like this adult who just came to us.
It slapped us.
We're not prepared. I keep telling them, we're not prepared.
And then it slapped us with extra. Like our environment right now, and not even just our environment. I think all over the world, inflation and everything.
I'm telling
what
you.
they could afford back then, we can't even afford right now. We're working twice as hard.
And I can't remember. I can't believe that when I finished school, I was like, I want to stay alone now. I think I want to stay alone, so I'll have my freedom. And then I thought to myself, if I had that freedom now, I feel like, I mean, I might adapt to it.
Yeah, definitely.
You always adapt, but I think I didn't need that kind of freedom. I don't know. But now I'm cool, I'm okay.
That's good.
Yeah, I'm not staying with your parents. I used to stay with your parents.
No. I took that bold decision a while back. And
were you even prepared?
I was prepared mentally, but not prepared like in the other aspects. Yeah, exactly. So yeah, that year it was tough, but it was tough in a very peaceful way. That's another thing about having your space that I would always value above any other thing else. Having your space, you can catch your breath, you can discover yourself a lot more, know your weaknesses, know your strengths. You're at your pace, you're in your house, do you get? There's a different mentality around it. I don't know how it is, but it reinforces something in you.
You know there's this thing that happens if you don't have clients, you just know you're eating.
Like, you know that you're not tending to anything, you're not handling, maybe some days you're not feeling good, you don't have to talk to anybody. You just eat your food, go and sleep. Wake up in the morning,
yeah, and
catch up.
I think it makes you a bit lazy. It's like, if I don't have this job, I'll shall eat.
It does, yeah. Sorry.
I'll shall eat. And then, but when you're staying alone, you know that if I don't work, I'm not going to get to pay my rent. I think, it puts you on your toes too.
Yeah, true.
That's just it.
True.
But then in the African society, parents always let their daughters leave the house. It's not all of them.
Yeah, there's
you
that
have to fight your way through it. Like,
I feel like it's almost everyone's. Even the guys, like some families, I for instance, it was a little bit.
Yeah, they don't want to let you go.
You have to fight your way through it, but in the end, you have to.
Parents will adapt.
Yeah.
They will adapt. It's just parents being protective. Like, I don't want you out in that hole. But then once you're out, it's like, okay, I get married.
Exactly. You're out. Yeah.
I used to be so scared of telling my dad what I didn't want to. Like, I wanted to do this, and he's like, stay back inside. So after so much of that whole giving him so much, okay, maybe he's doing courses. I think I'm like the most rebellious child in that house right now. Like, I would just speak. I have to go out, I will go and come back.
One thing I learned was that as children, we also need to put, which is why like there's like messy on both sides. It's their first time parenting.
True.
So when you put that into perspective, you won't some of the angers or things that annoy you. You will just be like, it's your first time parenting. Let me be even nice. Sometimes maybe when I feel like I was too curt to my mom or something, I'll just, when that statement enters my head that it's her first time parenting, I'll start feeling guilty. I'll call her just to check up on her, just to
I think we had that point. Then it was just fight for fight. I'm going there, and then I will go and come back, and then we're squeezing our face and looking at each other. Then it got to a point when I will go back and say, this is why I left the house. Like, I really want to go and do this stuff. And then it's like, this is why I also didn't want you to go out, and then we just clear it.
Fortunately, I didn't have any why I left the house kind of thing. It was just, it felt like it was time. It was time. I was in an environment that like I needed to have space to shoot videos. I couldn't deal with distractions. So mainly to clear out distractions. So for me, I had to just leave. It wasn't a toxic leaving per se. Yeah, it was.
I think that distraction has led you to you're working as a remote person, and they're calling you, Joy, come and cook. Come and cook. Exactly. Do you think I'm just joking?
Yeah. There was that, and I'm shooting classes and in a meeting, so I couldn't do that.
Yeah, parents never understand.
And it's not even the sad thing is, like you said, remote work. It's not a Nigerian company. Yeah. Like, so you hear maybe white people like hearing Ebuka. They don't understand like what is happening. They're like, why are they shouting your name? Is there danger or something? You know, I'm like, no, it's just they're calling me to get remote or something.
They still do it till now. They still do it till now. But now I think my sister got married, I think last month. So they're adjusting. One is out now, one will soon leave.
Okay. It's becoming a reality.
It's becoming a reality now. So everybody's okay now. But they still call me to cook. But now I'm working. Before I used to feel like it was my responsibility to do a lot of things, I would just be like, I'm just going to cook. But then I'm tired. Yeah, so I know I can't leave now. The only thing that will make me leave is if I'm relocating. If I'm in this Abuja, there's nothing like having your own house. So I've cancelled that, but I just now have to make time for my own self.
Yeah. That's good though.
Yeah, so I think I'm done. I just wanted us to chat. Just
no
make
problem.
it very comfortable.
No problem.
Yeah, do you have anything to say?
Nothing much. It's been fun actually. I mean, it's been months. Sorry, let me just check. It's been months.
When I saw the photo walk, I was like, why didn't he just come in for this?
I forgot exactly.
I just follow him.
No, do you know the reason? I forgot because of how. So immediately I came back, I went to Ghana, like almost like the next day. It was like just packed bag. Like it was the journey was so fast and brief that I didn't even check in any luggage. I just had hand luggage and I was running terminal to terminal and everything. And then when I came back from Ghana, I was in Lagos also working. And then I came back from Lagos. It was just like one day I had left. I was still planning for the other. I hadn't done any announcements. So I couldn't even remember that it would have been really nice to have you there.
I was like, let me just follow him. So
it was just so hectic. After the photo walk, and I had some time to breathe, but then I attended that London fashion event, and I had to edit from it too as well. So I was still editing while doing different things, while doing Lagos, while doing what I shot in Ghana. It was a lot. Do you ever think of like hiring like? I think of it. It's just that
do you have fears of finding somewhere that would edit it the way you want? So
no, that's the thing. I've had experiences where someone I hired didn't particularly deliver, and it messed up like my rapport with the client. Even though I'm learning better now that you take the fall for your team. Don't let them know you even hired someone, basically. Things like that. So it means I need to get someone perfect. And from my experience with people, I've learned that normally they hire people that they've trained. It's easier to understand their vision, and it's easier to also
choose,
just follow through, basically. So I'm thinking about like doing a program where I get to train at least 2 people in depth in photo and video, and then I hire them on my team.
Yeah. I think that works. That works.
But yeah, let's see how that goes.
So how do your parents feel, you know, when they see you doing all this stuff? I feel like parents have that proud moment, like, I know I didn't let this boy go, but thank God he did.
I'm telling you, I feel like they did say that. Yeah. Even though I wouldn't do, but I know that they
like,
would definitely be saying that. Because it was something else. So study, do this one, do that, read civil engineering. But
parents just want to read book, just go the formal way.
We thank God, Shao, because there's a role that God had to play, which is making it successful. When they have something to celebrate, they sort of ease back into, oh yeah, he's doing well.
Yeah.
If I wasn't doing well, oh my God, it would have been horrible. Like,
they would have been
like why aren't you doing civil engineering? You're just here doing starving artists. Like, exactly. Yeah, so but that one was...
think of time when photography looked like a poor man's business.
There was that
like
time,
you even
honestly.
imagine bringing a husband and saying he's a photographer, you just look like
I'm
okay.
You,
but now, the parents would just be so true. Like, I think this guy is doing well. Because there's a lot of money right now. But then you still have to find your own like style.
Yeah, you have to.
Because we have a lot of people just diving into it, thinking it's just like the way AI came, everybody was moving towards it. But if you just dive into something because there's
without
money
purpose, without anything, you're
if
lost.
the money doesn't come, you move to that next
You'll
step. So you
burn
just
out,
keep going. Yeah, so you just have to find what works for you. I think that's nice.